Okay, guys, we have kind of a fun and weird topic today. It's a bit nerdy, so stick with me. We're going to dive into it. I promise it's going to make a ton of sense to your life and also applied towards weight loss. So let's get into a little bit about it. First of all, the topic is called entropy and energy and why you keep losing momentum. So we're going to learn why you lose momentum, why you lose energy. I came up with this topic the other day. Uh, I walked into my office and there was we have pictures. So there was a picture that was on the floor. It fell off the wall and it looked just like a gash. And that word popped into my mind, entropy. This is a sign of entropy. Right. So, what is this thing that we call entropy? It's a scientific term, and it's borrowed from physics, a specific field of physics. But basically, it means the tendency of things to get more disordered, more chaotic over time, as opposed to more ordered and less chaotic over time. So think about it. I mean, you don't clean your room and it looks very messy. You don't pay attention to your body, it gains weight. You don't focus your mind, it drifts all over the place. Like we've all experienced, there's a million examples of this. So the concept itself is not foreign to us. It's just the term may be, right? In science, they measure these things. They measure the amount of disorder in a system. So if you want, you can get a guy in a white coat to come to your house. He will measure the amount of entropy or chaos that exists in your house. Why you would want to do this, I don't know. Unless you wanted to track it over time, you wanted to staticize it somehow, and maybe have some graphs and if that was your goal to create more order in your house, then tracking it might not be so crazy. I have a feeling most people are not running to call a physicist and a statistician in order to create more order in their house. But that's the idea, right? So why is everything so chaotic all the time? I mean, entropy is this law of the universe that we have. And why is that the case? And why isn't everything more crazy than it is? Why hasn't it all blown up? The universe is expanding, and it has been forever. And eventually the sun is just going to heat up, go supernova, and just explode everything, right? So eat, drink, and be merry, right? Might as well have a good time this weekend at the shore. But here's how it works, right? The reason that things tend to get more chaotic is there's more reasons things can become chaotic than there are reasons for things to become coherent. In the physical universe, we have storms, we have gravity, we have things like that. If you witness your child, his mind wanders, for example, and he doesn't understand everything. He doesn't know necessarily how to create order from chaos. So that's why the tendency is so powerful. And we're using, the term, and we're using examples that relate more to life than it does to science. But, these laws kind of mirror each other. If it exists in nature, it also exists within you and within your family and just within all systems. That's kind of how it works. There's a term for that. They call it fractals, right? Everything is kind of represents everything else, and there are correlates in the universe, and there are people who study this, and it's almost a religious concept, and it's pretty cool. So why hasn't it all exploded? And just a note is that right now in particular, it feels like the world might explode. And we've had other times like that, right? But here's the reason. It turns out that whether it be in the physical universe, whether it be in our own individual universes, there are forces that resist entropy. And this is a key idea. There are things that organize, that hold, that focus. Gravity, for example, it keeps our planets in orbit and not, so they don't just drift off into nowhere. There's something called electromagnetism. You could think about this as gravity in a very small level. It's what holds atoms together, right? Like I said, geeky stuff. But in a less geeky example, a mom holds a household together. Deadlines hold writers and companies together. So the key is energy. But not just any energy, right? Because if you put energy into a system, it might create more chaos. And if you reflect on if your child's ever had a birthday party, you know what I'm talking about, right? You get a bunch of these energetic little shits running all over the place, and it is certainly chaotic. If you heat something up, the entropy increases. It becomes more spread out, less coherent. It melts, for example. So it's not energy. Energy is not the answer. It's energy directed. That's the key. The directed energy, the intended energy. That's what holds the chaos in place. And again, this is something I'm reminding you of it in language that you're probably not used to. Okay? So energy itself is neutral. It can explode things or it could make them more coherent. It depends on how you use it. Wild bursts of energy just spread chaos. So what we need focused energy. And I got to tell you, given that the world at large and your personal world has this quality to get more chaotic and disordered over time, you might feel exhausted sometimes, trying to keep it together, trying to direct energy towards doing that, creating systems, yelling at the kids, checking report cards, whatever it is in your life, cleaning up, organizing. It's exhausting. And I don't have to tell you this either. Why am I here? I don't have to tell you any of this. You know it. But this is an opportunity to take a step back and to kind of look at it. When we talk about specifically health and weight loss, it's not just about having energy. It's about how you aim it, how you direct it. Again, directed energy is what creates order. And I hear it all the time from people. They come in, they say, "Doc, I'm out of control." And they apply all kinds of vicious judgments towards themselves. They say things about themselves that if someone else were to say, it would be fighting words. People can be very difficult on themselves, especially when they fail, and if they fail repeatedly. So it's a constant thing. "Doc, I'm out of control. I'm undisciplined. I'm no good. I'm what have you." And this is where our minds go sometimes. But it's not that. Again, we need the structure. Left to your own devices, we know what happens. It's the drift that tends to happen, right? We start off very focused. We make a decision. That's it. No more carbs. Lasts until lunch when we have a slice of pizza. Okay. So things like programs, things like accountability, and this is actually the applicable point of what I'm talking about. So if you want to accomplish something, especially in a realm that tends towards entropy, like health and weight loss does, you better put some things in place. You can't leave it to the universe. It's too random. You can't leave it to yourself or your own force of will. That can work generally for a short period of time. When you have enough directed energy, when you're motivated enough, this is the conundrum of the wedding, the impending wedding. you get that invitation in the mail. I got an invitation this morning, I saw, to a wedding. I don't think I'm going to go, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that will direct your energy. That will cause you to direct your energy. That will cause you to put in some order. We can do that, but generally what we find is after we put in all that directed energy, because we have some kind of impending potential catastrophe, like wedding pictures, after that, we'll start drifting again. It might be worse. So the structure, the things you put in place, the energy directed, it can't be just aimed at one particular event. That is a recipe for disaster. There has to be an understanding that you need structure for life. And that doesn't mean deprivation, a strict structure. Say that 10 times. The structure of the strict stricture was, anyway. Okay, so are you getting the point of this? Right? The colloquial way of saying it is if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Right? But of course, that's just pretty glib, right? Those cliches, they're not helpful for anyone. What you need to understand is the mechanics of what's going on. That tendency towards craziness and lack of control at every area of your life where things are going somewhat well, and that happens on occasion, on a good day, you'll notice it's because of your directed energy, because you focused it somewhere like a laser. And that's why you got the outcome. Because if it was just random, very dispersed, a burst of energy, it would not happen. It has to be directed. And that usually means some kind of a system. And that means having contingencies in place. And it might mean having outside support. So I want you to think about this, about how you can operationalize this, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? So obviously, that's what we do here in this office. Okay, we help people prevent that drift. There's a structure to your weight loss program, and it is a narrow structure, which it needs to be. Too many choices, very bad in the realm of weight loss. There is also accountability. Now, the accountability doesn't mean chasing, right? You have to be a good player if the coach is going to be any good. But there is a structure with that too. Some of my clients text me daily. There's usually a weekly appointment or check-in. And sometimes I have to chase people down, although I don't like doing that because we're dealing with adults, supposedly. All right. And I want you to understand this. None of you are lazy or broken. The physics of this is very real. All the physics is real. Momentum is a thing. You know what I'm talking about. There have been times where you've just been able to ride this good momentum. And there have been other times where you can't get out of your own way. Momentum is a real thing. It's a force that we can feel and that we experience. But when energy is going in the wrong direction, it needs a counterforce or forces. And sometimes it's enough to do on your own. Again, usually when there's some kind of an urgent circumstance. And sometimes you need some outside assistance. Okay, so that's the point I wanted to make to you. We have to have the guardrails, not as a matter of character, right? As a matter of fighting this universal force that will bite us in the ass. Okay. The guardrails are important. The systems are important. Feedback, focus, it all matters. And it shouldn't be in a way that's torturous. You're better off if it's coming from a light, fun place than you are from a very rigid place, right? Because eventually you'll start resisting that rigidity. Most people will. Some people so love the structure because it gives them a sense of control of that chaos. Some people resist any attempts at structure. Most people are somewhere in the middle. I think we have an 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the people desire structure, understand the importance of it, and then when they have it, they resist it to some degree. It is just part and parcel of being a human being. Arguably the best kind of being. So if you've fallen off before, it's not because you didn't care. It's because you were trying to fight the entropy using emotion instead of systems, instead of the things that we know work. This is one of the reasons I encourage my clients to not be too enthusiastic. Enthusiasm burns out. We don't need a large flame like that. We need consistency. Okay. Again, we need directed energy, clarified energy. It doesn't have to be excessive energy. All right. So, bottom line is if you want to keep drifting, do nothing. Entropy will take care of that for you. Okay. If you want something different, if you want to get a particular result, then you know what you need to do. You need to employ some structure. I can help people even if they don't come and become a client and do a program and whatever. I'm willing to be on the phone with somebody and just help them create something that'll work for themselves. That's not the same as a complete kind of a health, energetic and weight loss tune-up or overhaul. It's a different thing, but it can be helpful. So I invite everybody to think about what I've had to say. We have some fun times coming up. We have obviously Independence Day. It's coming up soon. It's on a Friday this year. That's going to be helpful. I got a feeling no one's going to work that week. Why bother, right? It's the middle of the summer. The weather is getting warmer now. It's going to be very hot in a couple of days, at least here on the East Coast. So I've enjoyed our time together. That's going to be it. If you need anything, go ahead and reach out. Otherwise, have a fantastic day.